Our thought today is, imagine the discipline it would take to work in a bubble wrap factory. Well, today we honor two great men of discipline and holiness from the early days of the church, St. Basil the Great and St. Gregory Nazianzen. They were friends, and you can see how God uses other people to bring us closer to God. So surround yourself with good Catholic and Christian friends that can help you become saints. We have first a quick look at St. Basil the Great. He, with Gregory Nazianzen, are two of the great four Eastern doctors of the church, sometimes called the Cappadocian Fathers because of being from the region of Cappadocia in modern-day Turkey, along with St. John Chrysostom and St. Gregory of Nyssa. Gregory of Nyssa actually was the brother of Basil the Great. His family was unique. In fact, they have more canonized saints in Basil's family than any other family in the history of the church. Both his grandparents were saints. They were martyred under the persecution under Diocletian. Basil's father is a canonized saint, as well as his mother, and three of his siblings. So out of four out of 10 children are canonized saints in the church. Remarkable. Again, more saints than any other family in the history of the church. Basil was sent for an excellent education in Caesarea, modern-day Turkey, and then to Athens, where he studied and became friends with Gregory Nazianzen. They were baptized together. They would both become bishops. They would both become doctors of the church. St. Basil was known especially for his work combating the Arian heresy. Sadly, in those days, the emperor and almost all the bishops fell into the heresy of Arianism, denying the true divinity of Christ. So Basil, along with St. Athanasius and a few others, were the only ones faithful to the teachings of the church in a time of great heresy. So Basil would teach about the Blessed Trinity and teach about the divinity of Christ. You can't understand the divinity of Christ unless you understand the Trinity, that there are three divine persons in one God, and that each are equal, each are eternal, and yet one God. So Basil was the great defender of the divinity of Christ and of the Blessed Trinity. He also took great care of the poor and the sick. He established one of the first hospitals in that time. It was considered one of the modern wonders of the world at the time, an incredible hospital that he built. He would also preach twice a day out in the courtyards and teaching the truths of our Catholic faith. So he would die at the young age of 50 and is considered one of the great doctors of the church and one of the great early bishops of the church. And we look for a moment at his friend, St. Gregory Nazianzen. He had a different personality. Basil was much more outgoing and active, where Gregory Nazianzen wanted to really stay in the background and be a theologian and write and contemplate. He was also born in the year 329. He would live about 10 years longer than his friend Basil. And he also would be chosen to be a bishop. And he would also write beautifully about the Blessed Trinity and the divinity of Christ, again combating the Arian heresy. So I do encourage you to read the writings of Basil and St. Gregory Nazianzen, and it's these writings that have helped to convert countless Protestant ministers to the Catholic faith. I believe over 2,000 Protestant ministers have become Catholic in the last 40 years, and a lot of it's due to reading the writings of the early fathers of the church, Jerome and Augustine and Chrysostom and Basil the Great and Gregory Nazianzen. So I encourage you to read their writings. They're absolutely beautiful. For example, Basil would write things like, the bread that you do not eat, it really belongs to the poor. The clothes you don't wear belong to the poor. The shoes you don't wear belong to the poor. And beautiful thoughts like that. And so I would encourage you to read their writings and also to continue to develop a good Catholic and Christian friendships to help you become saints, and pray for the family. Imagine how many saints came from St. Basil's family, and it is possible to have families of saints today. So we ask, through the intercession of St. Basil and St. Gregory, pray for us.